there a CIP, like in Greek letters, to make that merch? Chi Omega C.
Crying in public.
Crying in public. Just another podcast.
Hi. Welcome to our first bonus episode. Today we're just going to talk about Greek life and our opinions of it in general and our experience of it at NYU. Yeah. So, what were all of y'all's perception of Greek life as kids?
All y'all.
All of y'all's.
All y'all. I grew up in Shanghai, so I had no idea what the fuck Greek life was. But I'm in a sorority right now. That turned out interestingly. I remember first times learning about Greek life was the movie Sydney White.
I love that movie.
I
That
will
is
never get
legit one of my
obsessed with her.
favorite movies.
So you basically just join the sorority of your mom, like what your mom went to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's a very interesting concept because me and my mom are completely different people. So if my mom had gone to a sorority, hypothetically, I'm not going to be in that sorority. I'm not going to get along with the people in that sorority. That's just how I thought about it.
I feel like Sydney White portrayed sororities in like a really bad light though. Because like she did have to leave it and like the girls bullied her and like they weighed her and like it just like wasn't a good light. So like as a kid, like I remember watching that, I was like, ew, I never want to be in a sorority. These girls are so mean. I'm like, I want to be Amanda Bynes. Like I want to be Sydney White in that movie who like goes against it and like creates like the little nerd rebellion. I was like, I want to do that.
But also, we must bring to the light. You wanted to be Amanda Bynes. That's also an issue because that went downhill super fast. Obviously, I had a different idea of sororities because, like, obviously, I'm black. If you could not tell. And
No, I couldn't.
you guys didn't know.
What ethnicity are you?
Surprise! I get that
So
question a lot.
surprising.
Surprisingly. Like, growing up, my older sister went to HBCU and like wanted to be in black sororities, which also never talked about. I went to like an all-white private Christian school growing up. So all the girls were like, I want to be in like Delta, Alpha, Kappa, and like things like that. So I was like, one part of me was like, if I go to a college, especially in the South, I have to be in the sorority. Obviously, they're not very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I either have to try and change myself to fit that mold, or I'd have to be in an all-black sorority. I have to change myself also because I'm not used to being in an all-black environment. So for me, it was like I either have to change myself or try and find friends a different way. So it was a little bit difficult trying to like figure out. Yeah. But luckily, I went to school in the North, so I was like, peace to that idea because I'm not feeling
Wait.
it.
This is super, like, quick. I just want to ask this question. Was it kind of like a culture shock, like, going from the South to the North? Because, like, I feel like when I go to the South, I'm like, ooh, like, this is
When
the
I tell
South.
you, it was like waking up and smelling roses because, like,
Wow.
I talk about this a lot, especially like even interacting with like frat guys, like friends in general. Like,
Yeah.
in the South, obviously, most of my friends were like white because I went to an all-white school. And so being in that environment, like being black was like who I was. Like I was that black girl. I was the black girl of the grade. So I just felt like it was always about me being like one thing. But here, because like NYU is so diverse, New York is so diverse,
You're just being you.
I'm just Sydney, which I like really appreciated. And like it wasn't anything about me having to like change myself to fit some type of mold. Like I didn't need to be acceptably black, which I really very much appreciate.
We love the North.
Yeah,
We love
I think,
it.
I think I agree because at NYU we do have the multicultural Greek life and also the traditional Greek life, and also a lot of pre-med frats and like business frats. So we have a lot of options that you can meet people in a similar way. Yeah, at NYU I don't have to fit in the mode to like join a sorority or something.
I'm gonna be super honest though about how I feel about NYU Greek life.
Yeah.
Just to put that out there. Two big issues. NYU separates traditional Greek life in quotes, and traditional means historically white. There is literally no other distinguished factor between the frats and sororities between being for ethnic people and being for white people. Obviously, people of all like races join the traditional Greek life communities.
Yeah.
But a lot of those you couldn't even be in them until the late 20th century, meaning that ones that prioritize legacy, you literally cannot get into because you couldn't even be a part of it 20 years ago. Yeah. And then the multicultural sororities are literally put into their own group, aren't even part of the like council, and are like not really talked about as much because it's like, oh, you're in the multicultural ones. And I feel like it should just be like
That's so true.
One that's for everyone that's not historically anything. Though they are a good source of like finding community, people who are minorities or like other races, things like that.
I think for the multicultural, it's easier actually for people who actually just only want to, I guess, find their own community, their own culture without being entangled with the traditionally white
Yeah.
I think it just kind of like sucks because like it sucks that you even have to have that in general, and like that shouldn't even be a thing. But I do understand that like what Claudia said, like it is good for people who specifically want that, but like the ones who are like the predominantly white ones, it sucks that like they have that. It's just like they do it to fill a quota.
Yeah.
But also,
Literally diversity quota.
yeah, with like the business and pre-law frats, which like isn't as like related. I kind of feel like they're really cool to join because people I know like in the business frats are super tight and super close, and like because it's both guys and girls, like it's not as like creepy as like the other frats.
I have heard of a lot of rumors about pre-med and like business frats, how they choose littles based on looks.
Really?
Yes,
That's
that
surprising,
I
though.
have
Yeah, I'm not
heard of
surprised.
that.
Once
That's NYU
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
I am going to say though, like about multicultural like frats and sororities. I know, like I can't speak for all cultures, but I know for Black people, like historically, it's been a way for like people of color in higher education to find a community, mostly because they weren't allowed to like have high numbers. So I know like AKA Delta. Like, those things are, like, ingrained in your family. Like, it's a thing that you look forward to since it's time that you're forced. Like, I don't think it's bad that they're separated because it is, like, a moment of, like, wanting to be part of a community. I think the fact that traditional sororities is what they're called also because they're just historically white. They're not traditional.
I've never actually heard it like that, but...
Like, I'd be, like... NYU's different, though, like, rushing-wise, but in the South, I would actually be frightened.
Oh,
to rush.
no, literally, like,
gosh. I know this girl is like in Tri-Del at UT Austin, and if you're in Tri-Del at UT Austin, I am not shitting on you, but she took a picture with her sorority sisters, and I was like, which one's her? I like zoomed in the photo for like 30 minutes, and I was like, which one?
It's like same tan, same ball of blonde. I would, and like the worst part is you'll zoom in and see one person of color, and all the comments are like, I feel so bad for her.
Well, like, what do you guys think, though, like, of NYU sorority life and, like, rushing in general, as well as, like, frats and stuff? Like, what do you guys think about, like, the
You
frats?
guys have been through the process. I feel like this is, like,
Yeah.
a good thing for
I
y'all.
feel like for me, rushing was super fun just because you're meeting so many different people at the same time when you're in line waiting to go in the room, and you end up meeting a lot of people who, like, ended up in different sororities. So that was fun for me. Being in the room is kind of like an interview process, like a recruiting interview process, which you just have to find topics to talk about. And it was honestly fine for me, like 2 weekends and it was done.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I remember hearing during the recruitment process people being like, oh my god, this is literally hell. Like, it's the worst. It's so long. And oh my god. And maybe this just, like, says more about my personality than, like, recruitment itself. And the fact that, like, I'm just a major extrovert and talking to people all day is, like, what I aspire to do. But, like, I thought recruitment was so fun. There are obviously some myths about recruitment, though. Like, they'll tell you, and this is not just, like, for the school we go to. This is literally every single school ever. It's just how it is, unfortunately. But, like, they'll be like, oh, we're not judging you based on looks. We're not judging you based on legacy. We're not judging you based on, like, what you wear. They obviously do, but, like, that's just what you do as a human subconsciously. It might not be at the forefront of your brain, but, like, that's just what you do. So it's not, and, like, when you're in an organized, like, situation, like Rush, that's going to be predominant. You know what I mean? Like, that subconscious bias. So I would say, like, that's one of the only things that I just obviously had to keep in mind about Rush that was somewhat negative. But other than that, I freaking loved it. I love meeting new people and networking and connecting. So
I think for me it was mostly judging the vibes. Like, people were judging the vibes less, or like maybe I wasn't thinking about the looks, or like, you know, or
well,
like,
we don't think about the looks because we're the ones getting judged.
Exactly.
But
so I was basically matching the vibes, or like seeing if
same.
you know, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, but just, like, to keep in mind, though, like, this is NYU, so I feel like if you're, like, rushing, like, a southern school, it's a very different experience. I think it is stressful and is hectic. You gotta get, like, all those letters and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you have to get, like, a letter for every single sorority with your recommendation.
Oh my god.
Also, at Southern schools, like, I know at NYU you have to rush every single sorority, so it is also, I guess, like, a little more exhausting in that way here, but in the South, I feel like overall it's more exhausting. You know what I mean? It's because if you don't get in, like, in the end, like, the end result is more severe than it is here, for sure.
Hearing
So I
that
get
is
that.
so interesting because I know nothing about, like, traditionally, historically, how people, like, recruit or, like,
My friends
for that. It's crazy.
They cry about it like years before it happens.
That's insane.
But
like aspire to, yeah.
I'm gonna be completely transparent, honest when I say this. Like, people want to be like, NYU is so diverse, and like I do believe that. Obviously, most of my friends are like a million different. Like, I love my friends; they're all super diverse, even people who aren't here. But as a Black person, I still wouldn't want to rush at NYU. honestly.
That's understandable.
Because, like,
Makes
if I
sense.
look, people might say, like, oh my god, like, they're so diverse in NYU. I can probably think of 2 that have black people in them. Actually, 1 has black people in them, and there's, like, 3. But if I go on these, like, almost every sorority's Instagram at NYU, I might see one picture of a black person, and she's with a group of, like, other girls. So I feel like they want to make it seem like, oh, like, we're super cute, like, all the pretty girls in our sorority and things like that. So, like, wouldn't feel welcome. I would feel like a diversity quota, because a lot of the ones I see don't have black people. And, like, I've talked to girls who are black in, like, the quote-unquote top sororities, and they even say, like, they don't feel like they're welcomed.
Yeah.
They're asked questions that are, like, just kind of ignorant. So I feel like, honestly, from my perspective, I wouldn't want to do it. And also, I think they're a little bit classist in the sense, I think in general, sororities, because, like, they expect you to pay, on top of a $50K tuition, $2,000 to be going to these parties and stuff. And I'm like, a lot of people can't afford that, so they're, like, excluded from that kind of life at the school. So for me, I'm just, like, not really a fan of it in general. I get, like, whole sisterhood thing and whatever. But for me, personally, I just don't really, like, want to buy into that idea.
That makes sense.
I just, like, second that, like, for obviously different reasons, but I feel like, for me, like, I'm really good at just, like, making friends of my own, and I'm also not someone who has, like, one friend group, but I like to have, like, a lot of different friends, and for me, like, I don't think, like, the sisterhood was a thing. Like, I wanted to find my friends, like, on my own, and, like, have, like, friends in, like, different groups, like, very, like, different, like, so, like, drama doesn't overlap, because I feel like sororities can have a lot of drama. And I think that just, like, never was for me, because I did have, like, some, like, stereotype in my head where I was like, they're probably going to be, like, catty, and, like, there's going to be, like, they're going to be, like, talking behind each other's backs, and, like, it's just going to be, like, girl problems. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of girls to deal with for me.
For me, I honestly don't feel that, just because NYU is just not, like, nothing like other schools' Greek life. It's just a place that you meet people, and you meet the girls you like. Obviously, you're not gonna love, like, all 50 girls in your pledge class, or all, like, 120 girls in the whole sorority, obviously. So you choose and select who you love, who you vibe with the most, and you make friends with them, and you stay friends with them. And that's what sorority means for me.
Yeah.
And it's also less of a cult, just because I feel like we don't have a house, we don't have anything besides, like, chapters and formals. That's it.
You can, like, go to frat parties here without having to be in a sorority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
like,
all
it
the,
really is not.
like, all the benefits you can get without being in it. You can find friends, you can go to frat parties, meet friends from, like, different areas, things like that. Like, almost everyone I know is in a sorority or a frat, and it doesn't really have any, like, weight on whether I'm friends with them or not. Like, I'm still able to, like, hang out with them and stuff, you know?
Yeah, if you're pretty and you have, like, boobs, you can get into any frat party you want. I literally swear.
If you're just a
anyone
girl.
can.
Yeah, if you
have
just
a
have to be a
vagina,
girl.
like,
Sorry, guys.
You
You're
don't
out
even
of luck.
need an invite.
Yeah,
You don't even
guys,
need-
yeah.
honestly, you don't even need an invite.
But yeah, if you're a
Yeah.
girl,
If
you're fine.
if you identify as a girl, you're gonna get into a frat party.
Sexist, and I don't really like.
It's so sexist.
If any of you frats are listening, go back, listen to our party episode, try to figure out who you are.
I've gotten so many
Yeah.
texts like, "Wait, which one am I?" And I'm like,
We organized the frats at NYU into categories, but we didn't actually say the names. We gave them code names. So go listen and try to figure out which one you are. It's definitely one of our most watched episodes, which is hilarious.
we love them all for different reasons. We
Yeah.
don't hate any of them. There's one we like. The guys overall, some of them we can tolerate.
We
Yeah.
hate to love them.
We hate to love them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
basically.
but also go watch our episode or listen to our episode about. It's called Types of Parties, right? Just another type of party.
Just
We
another
talked
Yes.
party.
about
Yeah.
That we
our
talked
at frat parties in NYU.
pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic. obviously.
Pre-pandemic.
Yes.
Go out,
So-
wear your mask, social distance.
Exactly.
But like Claudia, going to your point about like drama, whatever, and sororities, I agree with you. Like I know that when I was a new member, I guess like in my pledge class, like the just like new coming pledge class, everything was fine. There was no drama. She's so right. Like obviously you're not gonna love everybody. You're not even gonna like everybody, but like you make your friends and like those are your friends. And I still like love so many people in the sorority that I was in. But like I think PC and EC is like a whole other thing. And I think that even people who aren't even on PC or EC, like have an inkling of like what's going on, but that's just in everything. Like in leadership positions, anywhere there's going to be drama, whether in Greek life or outside. So like work, class, whatever. But it's crazy.
Y'all got so many letters.
Yeah, I raised my
PCR,
hand. I was
CKC.
like, as someone who doesn't know this, what is PC and EC?
Oh,
like
sorry.
play?
Isn't it programming council?
Programming and executive.
I think it's programming something and executive something,
Yeah.
and like
Council?
the EC is with like the president, vice president, whatever, secretary, treasurer, whatever,
Yeah.
and then the programming one is like social chair and like merch and like swag and planning things and things like
I
that.
also think every sorority does it differently, so we can't speak on
Every single sorority does it differently. I think this is just at NYU, but like in that whole realm, it's like literally crazy. Like I feel like there's always constant tension. It's very strange.
But with fraternities, it's like actual physical safety that I just don't really vibe with being in like frats. Like I have friends in frats that I love to death. They're the best guys I've ever met. But like as a society or culture as a whole, especially in the South, don't vibe with.
Toxic masculine.
A lot of them are racist too, in the South especially. Like frats, like criminally, it's a lot. It's bad. You know, people are like, women shouldn't be in politics.
Yeah.
You know those people.
Yeah, you mean the South and the Midwest? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I feel like frats are a social experiment. As would be like if it was a men only society.
Wait, it's like Saturdays are for the
And-
boys.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like us,
And how about
Right.
we
but
all
with
be
frats.
literally,
so right.
literally.
It's
Imagine just
aesthetic.
like the world just being a group of frats. That might be this. That's gonna be a horror movie. I'm gonna do that.
A horror
It's like
movie?
us,
I'm
but
gonna
with
do that.
frats. It's
Yeah.
like us, but the
No
frat
one copy
version.
that. Copyrighted.
What if we all had a frat version of us, like a frat boy version
We
of
do.
every single person?
It's the guys who live like 4 flights down.
Yeah, we hear like screaming
Yeah.
all night.
We have
so
frat guys
scary.
in our building, and
Crying
they're
in
so
frat
frightening.
houses.
Oh.
But like honestly, we met at a frat party. So like
Yeah,
obviously
we
we're not
did.
like
Yeah.
crapping on frats.
No.
You frats are different though. Like we
I
love
low-key
them.
like love NYU frats.
Same.
I love them
Because like they're really fun to go to, and like rooftop parties, not during a pandemic, are great. And like it's really nice because like NYU we get like those things that like people don't get in other cities. So like I kind of like fuck with NYU.
I think
frats.
in general, I really do love NYU Greek
Yeah.
life, just because it's so different from like any other school.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's a lot better than a lot of.
Yeah.
other places.
Definitely.
100%. There's so much shit going on in the whole system, so we obviously don't agree with that, but you know, it's slightly better than other schools.
Yeah.
And I think like one thing that really showed me that, because like obviously like last year I was like NYU's diverse, like go Greek life, a lot of people of color, etc. But I think that one, I feel like a lot of NYU sororities and frats, besides the like LGBTQ frat, generally like encourage like people of different gender like expressions to join. One. And then two, Black Lives Matter was happening. I feel like it was all very empty showings. Either like there was nothing to be said at all, or it was like, donate to my bingo board I made on Canva, and then we'll donate it, and that was the last word ever said. And nothing to actually like encourage like people of color, women of color, to join sororities.
We do have a diversity workshop that they recently.
but I feel like
added.
all the girls in the diversity
like-
council are the black girls in the sorority.
When sororities were like, oh my god, like Black Lives Matters, like this is what our sorority said. I'm like, yo, you're all white, and like you specifically don't let people of color. And I'm like, huh? I'm like,
Yeah. There's
what?
a lot to be done. I think.
Yeah, I'm like, there needs to be work with that's like within the institution itself. It's not within like the selective people within the institution.
But I think just like in general, I feel a lot safer than I would like if I was in the South going to frat parties.
I agree.
For sure.
As one person of color, because I influence a lot of the guys here because they're a lot smaller communities, so they're more like looking out for you if they know you type thing.
Yeah,
Sort of like
definitely.
a network type, which I really appreciate.
I also feel like if you're friends with them, like they do look out for you.
yeah.
They do. But we're not saying that there's nothing going
Yeah,
on.
it definitely
Yeah,
is.
we're not
There
saying
are
Yeah.
a lot of things
there's
going
like
on.
good and bad people, just like in everything. There's good and bad people.
And also, there's work to be done, obviously, and that also on NYU's part as well as like dealing with different issues that do happen within
Yeah.
like those spheres. But yeah, I think it just really depends on like your personal experience, because obviously we all have different experiences, we're different races, different women, different personalities, so we all interact with those spaces differently. Ew, I sound like a professor. These spaces. My thing is just like, as a woman of color, I just don't really endorse institution as a whole. Like, obviously I feel more safe rushing at NYU than I would have if I like was inclined to that community when I first got here. But I don't want to pay school any more money than I already pay them, honestly.
Honestly, I'm kind of
Scam
broke.
us.
And also, it still isn't. It has a lot of work to still be done. It's not as diverse as we like want it to be or accepting. So I think there's a lot of work to be done on a whole scale.
Also,
sororities.
I honestly think like Greek life at NYU is just not going to be a thing like after 2 years.
Oh yeah, I don't think
It's
so either.
not.
That's
I feel like it's
just
already
what I-
declining.
Yeah,
like
very,
even pre-COVID.
very much declining.
I think my idea of Greek life in general is like, honestly, like if you want to do it, give it a shot, and if you love it, that's amazing. Yeah. And like I have nothing against it, and I think people find like their best friends there. It just personally was not for me.
We're starting a new sorority called Crying in Public, and we're gonna make merch with our letters on it, which are CIP.
So if you get merged,
Join
you'll
us.
immediately join our
Yeah.
Greek life organization.
our sisterhood.
Our
We'll get some
sisterhood.
Greek letters, and there's C Yeah. Okay, we'll figure it out.
At frat parties at NYU, there are definitely, or at least in, I guess, like the Northeast, there are definitely some guys who still like jump on the pong tables because they feel that they're inclined to, or like they'll try to,
Or like just rip
Literally,
their
remember that
shirt.
moment?
Or
Yes.
just rip their shirts off for no
Yeah.
apparent reason. Like, like they go like, oh, and they do like that weird gorilla thing. Is
See,
what
like,
I call.
NYU is what I would call like frat chic. Like frat chic, instead of partying in a literally old plantation house that's like cracking at the seams like you would in like Alabama, you're at least in like a Soho loft. I mean, it's still sweaty, it's still sticky, it's still
Hey,
like,
sometimes it's a club too.
yeah, too testosterone-y and smelly for like
Yeah.
our taste. At least it's what I would call fresh.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's freshy.
Well, thank you everyone for
Thank y'all.
listening. That's all we have to talk about today.
Yeah.
True.
Oh, do we have any more minis coming?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ew. What came out of my mouth?
We also have really exciting news again. There's literally the
I'm
E-
so
been here for,
sorry.
like,
We've been
5
telling you about
months.
these
Yeah.
exciting news way
But
too
we
long.
can't tell you
Can't
yet for legal
Yeah.
reasons.
We can't wait.
It's
Yeah.
coming soon, though. Wait, so follow our Instagram at Crying in Public Podcast.
Our TikTok,
TikTok
at Crying in Public Podcast.
our Instagrams that we'll link below because they're simply to
Yes.
say.
At Crying in Public Podcast.
And
Okay,
listen
girl.
to us on
Us.
Apple and Spotify
At Crying in Public.
Radio at Crying in Public. So thank you for
Thank
watching.
you.
Also,
Subscribe, like,
hit
comment.
that like button, subscribe,
Also,
We
comment.
gave so many instructions at once.
Do all of it right now, no matter what you're doing. You have homework? No.
We're
You have
just
a
giving ours
boyfriend?
right now.
No. You have a girlfriend? No. You have friends? You have a family? Goodbye. Follow every single one of our socials and like this video. Thank you.
I didn't
Thank
see
you so
parts
much.
with your hands.
all right, bye bye.
Bye. Kai Iota
Sarah
Pie.
just went. Ooh.